Tell us when. Okay. Again, welcome. Thank you for attending. Let's open this meeting, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In a moment of silence. Okay. Let's move on to item 3A of the agenda. It's amending Article 13 of the Coos County Code, adopting ordinance 25-03-001L. Morning, Jill.
Good morning. So this is in the matter of amending the Coos County Code, Article 13, permitting and property development, land use, building, construction on-site. It's ordinance 25-03-001L. The purpose of this is to include the on-site program into the county code so we can start regulating. Today's our first official day of taking on-site.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Oh, I missed my page. All right. I got a different packet. Okay. I didn't turn. There we go. Move to adopt ordinance 21-01-001L in the matter of amending Coos County Code Article 13, permitting and property development, land use, building and construction, and on-site septic.
I second the motion. Discussion.
Yep.
Thanks. How's this going? Getting set up for you.
Peter's not in here today, he's tomorrow. Okay. So everything's going okay so far. We're just moving records over, getting websites set up, getting forms, doing some training. So we actually don't start taking the permits until the 7th. So it gives us a week to train and put everything together. And Corby from DEQ and Coos Bay is coming over tomorrow. So continue to help with the training and walking through and stuff. So.
Will this end up putting pretty much everything you need to get a permit to build a home?
Yes.
In one office?
Yes.
If you live in the county? Or
yeah. Yeah. If you live in the county, if you live in the city, you still have to go through land use through the cities, and then building is through us, except structural is handled in North Bend and Coos Bay by North Bend and Coos Bay, and then Lakeside handles their own permitting.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all the work you've done to consolidate that and hopefully make it easier.
Hopefully, that's the goal.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Item 3B, referring the proposed annexation into the Fairview Rural Fire Department to the voters in November for 2025 election. Who's handling
Council.
that? You are?
Yes.
Thank you.
The Coos County Board of Commissioners held a public meeting on February 18th on the matter of the proposed annexation of certain territory into Fairview Rural Fire Protection District. This proceeding was conducted pursuant to ORS Chapter 198 in response to a resolution adopted by the district. And at that hearing, the board tentatively approved the proposed boundary change, approved of the district's resolution, pending a final hearing and the results of an election on the topic, which will be held in November. So at that time, the board directed staff to prepare a ballot title for the November 2025 election. So this order, 25-03-019L, adopts a ballot title for the election and orders the district to hold its own election on the topic for residents within the district. So our measure will be for those residents who are not yet in the district but are in the area proposed to be annexed. We'll be submitting our ballot title to them. And simultaneously, the district will be sending a measure to its residents on the same topic.
Do we need to read the ballot title? Part of the motion. All the motion requires is approving the order?
Correct, yeah. So often with ordinances, the requirement to read the ordinance is sometimes a thing, but not with ballot titles.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to adopt Board Order 25-03-019L.
Second? Discussion?
We should, given that this is a hearing, I think we should open it up to public to see if there's any testimony. If not, then you're free to.
Anyone wish to comment on this? How unusual. Hearing none, any further?
Nope.
Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. Move on to item 4A, request of approval of intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority.
Good morning.
The big one
Is this
takes
on?
two.
So we are back with the Real D SOGI request. It is a little bit different, so I'll let, our request is a little different, so I'll let Dr. Gleason go over what we found out since our last meeting.
Thank you.
So since we last met, the board had questions regarding what we were going to be doing, what this grant was kind of justifying or asking for, and I have been able to sit down and have the kickoff event. I went and listened to that for a few hours. So to answer a few of the questions that the board had, the reason for the Real D SOGI is to gain more accurate data across the board, across all of the consumers that would utilize services at Coos Health and Wellness. That would mean when this goes live after they've finished building the database, which might be in around 2027, they figure in the year 2027, this will be a requirement for everybody, and we will have to ask everybody annually that comes and utilizes the services at Coos Health and Wellness, whether it's a service or a non-service. If you come into the building to utilize anything Coos Health and Wellness has, we will have to ask those questions. This grant is about training individuals about the implementation of the Real D requirements in 2027. So it's really a lot of curriculum development and then going around and training other staffs, Curry, Coos, Douglas, on how to utilize the data and how to ask the questions themselves.
How quickly do we need to start asking the questions? I get concerned if we train
Well,
too
the questions-
early, we'll forget by 2027.
So the training aspect of it over the next few years would be getting that kind of process up and running, find out where the flaws are, how to ask the questions, whether you ask all the questions at once or whether you send some in an email for later. Now, not all of the questions have to be answered. Almost all of the questions have a do not wish to answer option, but they won't be required until 2027, provided they get the database built by then.
All right,
So,
we have a motion.
okay.
Or-
I was
oh, do you
just
have
going to
further-
say,
Go ahead,
this is a request for the funding from the state so that we can have two staff get trained on this process and learn the process to be able to bring it back to us as well as other communities.
Sounds
So,
good.
I'll move to approve intergovernmental agreement 185016-0 with Oregon Health Authority and authorized department head Mike Rowley to sign.
I second that motion. Discussion.
Just to clarify, one of our colleagues was concerned this would be some form of advocacy or encouragement, and this is purely data collection.
Correct.
All
Correct,
right,
yes.
that was how I understood it the first time. I appreciate you clarified.
I know this is somewhat sensitive by quite a few people. Anyone in the audience have comment? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the motion is approved. Thank you. Item 4B.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Rod mentioned he was going to provide written input. Did he do that?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I didn't either.
Good memory. Item 4B, agreement with LMG Security.
Right, so we went out for bids for, to get a internal penetration test for our security system, and an external penetration test, and then a HIPAA risk assessment. We did one last year, and it was just the risk assessment, which is required annually, and this year we're adding on the additional tests. We have the 3 quotes. We used LMG last year. We really liked what they did, and then according to our summary of quotes, we prefer to go with LMG.
Thank you. Motion?
I'll move to approve agreement with LMG Security and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to sign.
And I will second that, and we'll note that no general funds are being used.
Correct.
Discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Thank you. Good to see you both. Next, we go to item 4D. C, request award of timber sales. Morning, Lance.
Morning, sir.
12 years, he finally said something respectful.
It wasn't meant
I
to be.
doubt that it was.
It was sarcastic.
It was an accident or it was sarcastic.
Must be
I'm not
announcing his
sure.
retirement.
Yeah, I'm announcing your retirement.
Scare the hell out of everybody.
Morning, Lance Morgan, Coos County Forester. A timber sale was held on March 19th, 2025 pursuant to advertisements which appeared in the World newspaper dated March 4th and 11th, 2025. We received bids on all 3 sales offered. Please see the attached results.
Have a motion?
Yep, there I go. I'll move that we award and sign attached timber sale contracts to the high bidder in each case.
And I would second that. Discussion.
Yep.
I'd like to point out that Roseburg Forest Products, or their timber arm, Scott Timber, was the purchaser of all 3 sales. And you want to talk about how we came in versus the estimate?
Yeah, we came in probably 15% higher than our appraised value. So that was a good thing. I think the total value of the sales were like 2.6 million, somewhere around there. And just one other thing, we do have 2 more sales we're sending out this week, so hope we'll get good results on those too.
You'll note that it appears to me that the winning bidder was willing to pay quite a bit more than
Yep.
the next. We only had 2 bidders,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it appears maybe the market's starting to go up a little bit, maybe, hopefully.
hope so.
It's been stagnant for quite a while.
Okay, further discussion.
Yep.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lance. Item 4D, take it here. Approval of the 2025-27 Justice Reinvestment Program grant application between Coos County and the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission of the State of Oregon.
Yeah.
Good morning, you two.
Morning. It's a mouthful, huh? Yeah, we are requesting approval for a 25-27 Justice Reinvestment Grant application between Coos County and the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission. That grant pays for a full-time parole and probation officer, 75% of a district attorney, pays for ADAPT treatment services, housing at Bay Area First Step. A few dollars go towards supplies, some training, and administrative cost of our director of 10%. And then also 5% of that grant money goes to victims. And those victim agencies are Kids Hope Center and the SAFE Project, which is great. And we are uncertain on, again, what the full budget's going to be. We did projections, and we're hoping for the 2 years it's going to come in somewhere around 826,000. Still, we don't know because they haven't completely approved it yet. So we want to submit for the preliminary, and if you approve it, we will hit the button.
There we go. I move approval of the 2025 to 2027 Justice Reinvestment Program grant application between Coos County and Oregon Criminal Justice Commission / State of Oregon.
Assuming you really want this, I'll second it. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for the.
I think we all want it.
Okay, thank you for the nice explanation. Any concerns?
No concerns, just appreciate what y'all do and
Thank you. Appreciate that.
happy to help however we can.
Thank you.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Moving on to item 4E, approval of the Kids Hope Center contract and Coos County's for victim services through the Adjustment Reinvestment Program.
Yeah, so this is for the current year. We're in the 24-25 Justice Reinvestment money that we currently have to contract with the Kids Hope Center. Pays for 0.5 FTO, victim support specialists, and the amount of that contract is $22,436.75 to be paid to them out of this grant.
Motion.
I'll move to the approval of Kids Hope Center and Coos County to provide a victim support specialist for victim services from 7/1/2024 to 6/30/2025.
I second that. And Kelly, I think everyone here probably knows what the Kids Hope Center does, but for the benefit of those who may not, could you describe what they do?
I can give you I don't know all the intricate pieces, but basically they work with victims of kids who have been abused by people and provide those victims people to support those families and those children as they go through that process. And also the counseling piece that talk to them to let the kids feel safe to disclose things that have happened to them. It's a huge benefit to have that for these particular cases and kids that are victims, or adults that are victims too.
I think I've mentioned it before. The last time I checked, they have about 400 plus kids a year that have been mistreated or abused.
Yeah.
And in a county of our size, that never ceases.
And I know I think they're on a kind of a shoestring budget, and so this grant does.
This is very important to
Yes, it's
them.
very-
They
very
had
important.
a lot of support from the hospital.
Yes,
So, and we don't know where that might go.
sure.
They tell me that, generally speaking, every one of every 3 or 4 child abuse cases is reported. So if you extrapolate what, we have 400 kids a year that come to use this center. That means that you have 800, 1,200, 1,600 kids, or could be abused. So anyway, do we have a motion?
Nope. I'll move approval of Kids Hope Center in Coos County to provide a victim support specialist for victim services. Okay, just making sure I read the right one. From 7/1/2024 to 6/30/2025.
And I second that. And the amount is around $22,000.
$22,436.75.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved.
Is there any way people can volunteer with the Kids Hope Center?
You would have to call them. We could certainly, you could contact me. I could get a contact for that, but.
I'm just thinking it'd be good if we could give that in one of these for community outreach. So
Sure.
if folks want to be involved, or I believe they work closely with the CASA program, Court Appointed Special Advocates, and Greg runs that, and he's always looking for volunteers to be CASAs.
The director is Julie Marshall, And so I would strongly encourage anybody, if they are interested in doing that, they could contact her.
Good,
And you
good.
could reach her through the Bay Area Hospital,
Um,
if that's helpful.
I know they have a volunteer by the name of John Lemus,
Okay.
hired from Sauce Brothers. We work together.
Mm-hmm.
And he dedicates full-time on a volunteer basis.
Wow.
to this. A wonderful man. What they really need is money.
Yeah,
If
They
you want to
really do
volunteer
need that.
something, that would be a good,
Yeah.
if you can volunteer money, that's good.
it's good.
Everybody needs
The
people
Kids Hope
too.
Center, again. Hey, well, that's approved. Let's move on to item 3G, request approval to purchase two 2025 Ford Explorers, community corrections.
Oh, we skipped
Yeah, I
one
skipped that.
down.
Project.
We got to do the SAFE project.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
It's
tend to
okay.
cross these off. Item 4, thank you for correcting me. Item 4F, request of approval of a contract with the SAFE project.
Okay, so we, again, they're the other victim agency. Approval of the SAFE project contract and Coos County for victim services through the Justice Reinvestment Grant for 24-25. This contract provides .50 FTE campus outreach advocate and a .10 FTE executive director position for victims in SAFE project through the Justice Reinvestment Grant. The amount of this contract is $22,436.75. If you can tell, we split the money 50/50.
Yeah.
That's what we did for these. So we are requesting approval for that. And this is, again, SAFE project is for domestic violence victims. And they provide a wonderful service in this community as well.
Motion?
I'll move approval of the SAFE project contract and Coos County to provide a campus outreach advocate and an executive director for victim services from 7/1/2024 to 6/30/2025 in the amount of $22,436.75.
I second the motion. Discussion?
Yep.
Hearing none, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion approved. Now let's go to 4G.
All right. So we are requesting the purchase of two 2005 Ford Explorers through State Price Agreement 1660 through Landmark Ford. Part of the reasoning I'm coming at you so early on this is because in order to get a build date in the year to get the vehicle in that budget period, I had to really do it early. So I'm learning the hard way. So our current vehicles, the current vehicles that will be being replaced is a 2015 Ford Taurus and a 2015 Ford Explorer with both approximately, by the time we get the vehicles, 100,000 miles on them. This is a part of our Community Corrections Vehicle Rotation Program. These dollars are not part of the general fund. We are funded through the State of Oregon Department of Corrections. And the cost of each vehicle is $40,203.76. Times 2 would be a total of $80,407.52. So that is what we're requesting approval for.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll move to approve the purchase of two 2025 Ford Explorers through state price agreement 1660 through Landmark Ford in the amount of $82,000 in case there's additional fees with DMV and such.
Did you make that not to exceed?
Not to exceed $82,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I
Thank you.
second that motion. And before we vote, I want to thank you and your department, both of you. The Community Corrections Department is very, very well run, financial, take good control of their finances, and they plan ahead, as you can see from what they're doing here. So if there's no further discussion, those in favor?
I have one other thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to really recognize Jenny on the JRI grant. She really stepped up and took charge with our district attorney in putting this grant together. I wanted to recognize her for
I hope she didn't try to step up when she was on one wheel.
So I wanted to appreciate what
She
she
just had a foot operation, has been,
Levitate.
she's just walking anew here for about the third or fourth day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, those in
Jen.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. And on to 4H, request approval, oops, that's not you. You're all done. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Good day.
Good to see.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Okay, we need to approve declare some vehicles as surplus and approve auctioning them off.
Right. We are looking to get rid of our 2007 Chevy Tahoe and declare that for a surplus auction, as well as a 2011 Tahoe. Both vehicles have been underutilized and are an expense, being an older vehicle, and the maintenance is high, and it'll save us a little bit in the long run.
I think we could take these two as one, in one motion.
Okay.
Any reason not to? All right.
I'll move to declare the 2007 Chevy Tahoe and the 2011 Chevy Tahoe as surplus and approve adding to the auction website.
I second that. Discussion?
Right.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion's approved. So that takes care of 4H and I, and we've pulled 4J. So the next item is 4K, requesting approval. Let me get to this page. For an OTET subscription agreement.
Yes.
Council, tell us what OTET is.
OTET is the Teamsters Trust insurance plan. It's an insurance for our Teamster unions as well as other employees. This is an agreement required for our solid waste employees to enroll in and stay enrolled in the insurance plan.
This is health insurance.
Health insurance, yes.
All right. Have a motion?
I'll move to authorize board chair to sign the OTET subscription agreement, Solid Waste Teamsters Local Union 206.
I will second that. Discussion?
Yep.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. Item 4L, appointment of the county a county representative to the Oregon Public Utilities Commission. It's actually not a representative to represent the county at PUC hearings. And do you want to take this, Colton? I could if you'd like.
Yeah, I was under the impression this was your agenda item.
I'll do it. I think as most of you know, the county has a gas pipeline. And in recent years, we've struggled with slides and riverbank washouts that have jeopardized not only the safety of the pipeline, but also the existence of the pipeline. I think the pipeline has done some wonderful things for the county. We have quite a few households, not as many as I think were originally projected. It was before my time here that we agreed to put it in. But it has become a major source of energy for some of our major employers. Amongst those would be Roseburg Forest Products, who just finished a $50 million improvement to their plywood plant here in Coquille. That was a new veneer dryer. Southport Lumber Company on the North Spit uses it to dry most of their lumber, which is really important because we're generally further away from a lot of the lumber markets than a lot of the inland mills. So having lighter, dry lumber as opposed to green lumber helps them be competitive. GMA Garnett, kind of a quiet company located here from Stockton, California. They're an international concern that provides garnet shards, little pieces of a hard, very hard, normally jewelry, but This is used for sandblasting and water jet cutting, and their plant here in Coos Bay serves the northwestern quadrant of the United States. This is how they get there. They bring their product in and ship. They process it here, grade it, clean it, grade it, and then ship it out. And it's so hard that it can be used multiple times in sandblasting. It doesn't dissipate like most sandblasting mediums do. So I think they're employing about 50 people right now. I think those are the major users. I've probably forgotten someone. I know there's a couple of dry kilns between here and Myrtle Point. I think the creamery in Myrtle Point uses natural gas, so it's important. We can't afford to keep it up with the problems we've had. So I reached out to Northwest Natural Gas, who operates the pipeline for us and is responsible for normal operating costs, but not for major recovery from catastrophic issues. And they told me that this would be a matter that would have to go before the Public Utilities Commission of Oregon. And they also said that is not a place for, if you don't know if you don't know about energy and energy problems and the PUC, you shouldn't be there. So we have money in both the pipeline fund and in the
Contracted services.
county councils has a pool of money to contract out projects like this. So our hope today is to approve directing county council to retain outside counsel to represent Coos County in deliberations with the Oregon PUC regarding the sale of the county's gas pipeline. Leave it up to county council to search around the state and find the appropriate attorney to represent us. Be important that the attorney be familiar with utility issues, energy issues, and hopefully even the situation here in Coos County.
I would like to note, Commissioner, I did take energy law in law school, and so.
Oh, heaven help us. You don't have time to do this.
No, and I wouldn't pretend to be an expert on how to coordinate this sort of transaction and navigate the Public Utilities Commission. So my recommendation certainly would be to bring in outside counsel.
I appreciate that.
Even though I've taken one semester on this topic. So.
You sure you're not qualified?
Yeah.
You save a lot of money.
I watched a YouTube once.
Yeah.
So, given that, do we have a motion?
I'll move to direct county council to retain outside counsel to represent Coos County in deliberations with Oregon PUC regarding the sale of the county's gas pipeline.
And I second that motion. Discussion.
Appreciate all the work you did on it.
Discussion from anyone in the room. This is a pretty important thing. A lot of jobs are dependent upon that pipeline. A lot of homes use gas for energy. I suspect some restaurants do too. So we need to keep the thing up and running. So hearing no further conversation, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved.
I do want to clarify, so will this be coming out of the pipeline fund or out of contracted services, and that to be reimbursed?
I
through
would
the
say
pipeline
take
fund?
it out of contract services first, and then if we need to replenish that, use the pipeline fund.
Okay. Should we, was that clear, Bobby, in the minutes, or should we have a motion to clarify the? Okay.
Wasn't part of the
We-
motion. I want to clarify that with the finance director and treasurer. Is that an okay approach, or were you looking at something? My recommendation was that we take it out of county council's budget first and replenish that if necessary from the pipeline fund.
I want to see Megan's face. I had to put my glasses on.
It'll be fine. We'll make it work.
Okay,
That's how you want to do it.
it'll make it work. I think we owe her one, unfortunately, the way she said that. So, further discussion. Oh, do we need to amend the motion to identify? the
It wouldn't
services?
hurt, it
Okay,
wouldn't
let's
hurt
do
to just, yeah, improve that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's,
Move to,
or should we approve? We're going to hold separate new motion, or we're going to approve it in two?
approved the one, I think.
Oh, that, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
So I'll move that the funding for contracted services on the pipeline fund be drawn from county council's budget.
Contracted
or
services.
was I backwards?
Contracted
Contracted
services.
services to be backfilled by the pipeline fund if necessary.
I second that. Discussion.
Yep.
Those in favor, please say aye.
I
Aye. Motion approved.
want to bleed the budget out.
Consent calendar. Then
I
we
don't
have a
think so.
late agenda item.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
I second that. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. We have one late agenda item, and that pertains to the fair, and we need approval to consider a late agenda item. That's the first step. So,
Move to approve late agenda item pertaining to the fair.
second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion approved. Gary, do you want to come forth and come up and tell us about this?
Okay, so there's a bill in front of the legislature. It's Senate Bill 771, which asks for $5 million for communities less than 5,000 or less than 12,000 people that have rodeos. And this bill made it out of the first two committees and is at the Ways and Means Committee right now. We've wrote up a letter to send to I think there are 17 members on the Ways and Means Committee. I'm asking for permission for you guys, for the commissioners to sign the letter. Also, we will have the Fair Board members sign the letter, and as many as the superintendents as we can get sign the letter. They are having a testimonial meeting April, I think it's 17th in Salem. We have a group going up of 6, including the Fair Queen and Princess, to testify. And so I'm just asking for you guys to sign the letter, and we will send it to everybody on the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you. Motion.
Move to approve. Would this be Board of Commissioners total to sign the letter? Yep, supporting SB 771.
I second that. Discussion.
You'd be signing it as the board.
As-
You'd have your signatures and,
It's written on, the letter itself is on fair letterhead. We can sign that.
They're submitting the letter and we're signing.
sure.
Before we vote, I want to say a word. I'm going to embarrass Gary, I know. Gary spent his life running a logging company. He retired from that, kind of, and he's pretty much taken on the fair as his full-time project. Spends a lot of time down there. He comes to us with not only requests to do certain things there, but funding to do them. Recently, we approved purchase of a tractor. He had driven, before we approved it, all the way to Albany or Salem someplace to look at the tractor and make sure it was as it was presented. It was better than it was presented. It's a used tractor that's virtually brand new. And he just keeps on doing stuff like this, stuff like here, paying attention to what's going on in the state legislature pertaining to fairs. We're too busy to be looking at all that. We miss it. He got it and put together this whole program and is going to go up there and testify. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
So, did we vote? Yeah, I'll say.
I don't think we voted.
We did?
Okay.
We did it out. Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion is approved. And with that, I think we move to comments from the commissioners.
Cool. So I took a tour of the Elliott facility, the former Shutters Creek up there, last week, and piece of information I can share. Folks asked what's going on with it a lot. They have contracted, I think, with OTAC to do a plan for the facility, so they won't have a definitive plan until the end of summer. So that's when we'll have some hard answers about what's going on up there. And then when they've referred to carbon credit sales, those won't take place for another 2 years, they project. So that's the timeline on two of their major items. Although they are doing their budget right now and trying to get some funding to help support an officer. The URA, we met about yesterday with the port. We've had 5 meetings on it in total now, 3 commissioners and 1 with the ports, or the county URA, and 1 with the port itself. They've come up with some good ideas. I think they're still including the under levy I had initially proposed, along with some other solutions that would assist the budget, while leaving it as a tool that's been mothballed essentially, with some projects to spend down the money that's in it. So I'm happy with that because it keeps more money local if it's approved by all the rest of us. Border and Customs, I've got a meeting later today. I've mentioned before, 1 port director for Customs and Border running from Brookings to Newport. I have a meeting with his superior later today to talk about the situation regarding that. And folks may have seen, as of 2021, maritime drug trafficking overtook land-based. So it's very important we stay focused on what we have here. Attended a meeting of the Empire Neighborhood Watch. There's a new one forming. It's got some very active citizens. They engaged with the City of Coos Bay's Police Department. We weren't able to have a deputy at the time. I believe they were probably out on a call. We've got a lot of space that only 2 cover. But we did have a good conversation. They sent me a thank you letter. I'm always happy to attend those things. And it's a good sign. Very engaged community members are what made this community strong back in the 80s, the 70s, preceding that. So to see more folks step up within their community is excellent. That's what it's going to take to turn things around in the long run. Covered that, had a meeting around energy. Friday, the Ways and Means Committee did their road show. They said they were doing a coastal meeting, so they put it in Astoria as far as from us as possible. So I did a turn and burn up to Astoria so that I could testify at their meeting on mental health funding and state hospital funding. I mentioned a couple times, I mentioned it to them the day we did the point in time count of homeless in January. Of the 46 people in our jail, 28 were on mental health meds. The issue that, in my opinion, would best help alleviate some of the burden is if the state would take mental health clients into actual medical care instead of not prioritizing that, resulting in them being incarcerated. To which I also mentioned to some of them afterwards, I have never known someone that said, I wanted to be a therapist, so I became a cop. They really need to get where these folks need to be going for care. That was a lot of my last week. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. And I want to thank Drew for his diligence and bringing a lot of good ideas to the county. It's a pleasure to have him on our Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
Budget report, we've done our preliminary budget work. Each of the departments brought their budgets before the Board of Commissioners, and by and large, I thought the budgets were prepared with almost absolutely no slack. Used to be that we would people would make sure they had enough money, and so they would overshoot, but I'm not seeing that happen. I haven't for years. So the Board of Commissioners looked at all of that, gave a tentative approval, even though it required taking almost $1,800,000 out of the forestry fund, which we cannot do. So somehow, this day after tomorrow, we start budget deliberations again with not only the Board of Commissioners, but also other three more people, the citizens, that round out the Budget Committee. And we're going to have to task ourselves with finding either more revenue or less expenses. We're looking at something around $1.8 million is going to be a very difficult situation. We're not alone in this. It's happening to other counties. I think over 2/3 of the counties in the state are facing very, very serious budget issues. We might be a year ahead. Same with the cities. Those counties that are struggling are typically rural counties, particularly rural counties who in years past have been able to count on a share of the federal forest timber sales. But it's bigger than that. Our state citizens passed about a little over 30 years ago a couple of laws that, and I think it was a good thing, limited the growth of property taxes. Everyone that has a home or any property benefits from that. Unfortunately, it limited the growth of our revenues, but it didn't limit the growth of our cost of doing business. With inflation that we suffered here a few years ago, or maybe still are, it's been a struggle to keep up with the cost of insurance, the cost of utilities, to be competitive so that we can hire employees or even retain our employees. We have remarkable employees. And so that's where we are. Somehow or another, we'll have to balance it. I'm afraid it's going to require a lot of cuts. About 85% of our costs are personnel. So we're not going to be able to avoid reduction. I remind you that at one time the county had a broken record, but I think just to know where we are. The county had, I'm getting like Bob, I should just give me a number. And at one time we had 550 or so employees. Most of those were cut before I became a commissioner. Today we're down to somewhere under 350, probably 335. Our property tax rate that supplies the county with its tax revenue, about 2/3 of what it was 10 years ago. We managed to pay off millions of dollars of debt and reduce our tax rate. And it's been difficult to get our citizens to recognize that we need more money, and I can't blame them. But that's where we find ourselves. So we have a big task starting Thursday, finishing up before the end of the month, hopefully next week. On that bright note, I'll conclude Commissioner input and ask if we have citizen comments. And Phil, you don't want?
I want to just forego today.
Welcome back.
Thank you, John.
Phil had a knee replaced and taken him a little longer to get back here than he had hoped, or that we had hoped at least. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
Lance
I ain't
missed you.
cried yet.
And David Jennings.
I passed.
Okay. And Nancy Brown.
Hey, Brown, Coos Bay. And so I just want to say, Drew, I'm so happy to hear what you said this morning about the mental health facilities. Because I believe having those open again and getting these people that help will help cut down not only our homelessness population and stuff, and leave more room for the real criminals that need to be there. My second point was that I am all for getting rid of the urban renewal agencies. I know that at some point they probably did have a good idea, but I think it's gotten totally out of control, and I think we need that money back to fund our jail and our deputies and our DAs or whatever we got to do. My 90-year-old mother, 90-plus-year-old mother, she can't be here obviously today, but she has seen a lot over the years, which she knows she has. She's always lived in Coos County, and she would like to see it be resolved. I mean, get the money back into where she can feel safe again, especially being at 90, and stuff. But that was my thought. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nancy. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Don't get too close to Gary because he'll get some of your money. I'll try to get some of your money for the fair. And with that, we'll adjourn. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.